Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whichever location you are watching this video. Again, a very warm welcome to QuestPoint channel, right? And in this video, we are continuing the Azure step-by-step series. If you remember, we had published part 1, right? Part 1 video series we had published, and I had promised that if you give me 2000 likes, I will publish the part 2 as well. So here is the part 2. So first thing, I would like to thank everyone, for those 2000 likes. And here it is. If you make again the 2000 likes in part 2, I will publish part 3 as well. Now, my humble request to everyone, before you continue with part 2, right, please watch part 1. In part 1, I have completed approximately 14 chapters, and that forms the base of part 2. So just in case if you're coming to this video directly, right, and if you are a newcomer or a new fresher in Azure, you will get no context at all. You will get lost, right? So I would suggest that first go and watch part 1, and then when you start part 2, right, it would be more effective. Before we proceed, right, I just want to inform that on our website, that is www.questpoint.com, we have superb Azure lessons, Azure Data Factory trainings, which we are happening next month, right? We have recorded videos which are like almost 40 to 50 hours on Azure. Last month we had the React trainings, Angular trainings. I also took up a crash course of Azure that is also recorded internally, and currently we are having the microservices training. So I would suggest that please go to questpoint.com and chat on the chat window and see what are the upcoming trainings. Also look at what are the videos we have internally. I'm sure that it will help you out. So let us quickly go and see that what have we covered in lesson 1, right? Remember, we have lesson 1 which we have covered, and what are we planning to cover in this lesson, right? So let us go to the screen out there and let us see. So if you remember in lesson 1, so that is lesson 1 where we had approximately 14 chapters, right? And in that 14 chapters, if you remember, we started with why cloud, we talked about capex versus opex, we talked about EAS, PAAS and CIAS. Then after that, we did a hands-on on virtual machine. When we were doing the hands-on, we looked into regions, we looked into areas, we looked into zones, right? And then we also did a demo of availability zones, right? Also, we covered very important concepts, like high availability, fault tolerance, scalability, elasticity, and so on. And then in chapter 13, we did a demo of the elasticity and scalability. If you remember, that demo was very complicated, right? And then chapter 14, we looked into some questions to just see that how much have we understood the lesson, right? Lesson 2, right? So in lesson 2, we have 8 chapters, right? And before, as I've said, before you start with lesson 2, please make sure that you go through all the 14 chapters, which is in lesson 1. That video I'm posting down below in the comment section. Also, I'm posting that down below in my description section, right? So in lesson 2, we have 8 chapters. This video would be approximately, my guesstimate is that it would be approximately 50 minutes to 1 hour, right? In this, there are 8 chapters, and the chapters are majorly focusing on 2 things. One is we are focusing on the update domain and fault domain. And another one we'll be focusing on PAAS service, which is the app services. So we'll be using the app services to deploy an MVC core application. We will look into the concept of slots. We will see a demo of slots, and we will look into app service plan, right? So whenever you are hosting, there is always a service plan which is created. And finally, we will again go through some AZ questions to see that how much we have understood lesson 1 and lesson 2, right? And before I start, right, guys, in between, I'm giving a beautiful gift, a gift, which you won't forget for your life, right? Because when you talk about Azure, right, one of the very important concept is Azure networking. Azure networking, right? If you're not understanding the networking concept, you will not understand, that how to go and put your infrastructure on Azure, right? So in between, I will be talking about that gift. What your work is that you have to go and see the complete video. And not really just see the video, also practice. If I'm doing app service plan, please practice it, right? So let us get started with the first lesson of lesson 2, update domain and fault domain. Both of these concepts, that is fault domain and update domain, helps to ensure high availability in virtual machines. And how do they do that? They do that by creating logical grouping of domains. So they actually create logical groupings, which is termed as domains, that is update domain and fault domain. And they help to ensure high availability against 2 things. First one is hardware failures, and second one is planned maintenance. Hardware failure means, let's say that your electricity goes off. Let's say that there is an infrastructure issue like internet is not there or something else, right? So against infrastructure issues, against hardware issues, right? They help you to ensure high availability. Second, against planned maintenance. For example, you will say, okay, I want to restart all the machines because I'm installing a patch. So that is called as a planned maintenance. Or you want to just go and put some updates and restart the machine, or you have done some maintenance, you want to restart the machine. So that is termed as planned maintenance. Now, update domain helps to implement high availability when there is a planned maintenance. So when you are saying planned maintenance, in that case, update domains comes into picture. And when you are saying hardware failures, then fault domain comes into picture. So now let us do like this. Let us go to the screen and let us try to understand that how these two concepts actually work. So let me go and flash a diagram, and through the diagram, let me try to explain you both of these concepts, right? So there is on the screen, you can see there are two diagrams out here. There are two infrastructures out here, right? So this is infrastructure 1 and this is infrastructure 2. Now let me try to explain you what exactly here the infrastructure I am talking about, right? So here I am talking about decoupled infrastructure. Decoupled infrastructure means what, right? See, infrastructure can be a building where your virtual machines are residing. Infrastructure can be two floors. So you can say this is the top floor is infrastructure 1 and the bottom floor is infrastructure 2, right? But one special characteristic of a decoupled infrastructure is that, like example, this infrastructure 1, the power supply is coming probably from Adani, vendor 1, right? Adani is an Indian vendor, right? Just in case people who are watching me from other places. Infrastructure 2, this is power supplies from vendor 2, must be Reliance. Example I'm saying, right? Infrastructure 1's internet connection is coming from Airtel, and internet connection for this infrastructure 2 is coming from vendor 4, which can be Vodafone or anything, right? So the point is that when you say infrastructure, it can be a building, it can be a floor, but the most important point about decoupled infrastructure is that their vendors are different. Security guard is coming from one vendor, for the other infrastructure, security guard is coming from other vendor. The wirings are different. Your power supply is different. Your internet connection is different, and so on, right? So assume now this is infrastructure 1 and there is virtual machine 1 and virtual machine 2 here. This is virtual machine 3 and virtual machine 4. Now what you can do is you can go to Azure and you can say that, okay, I want to create a virtual machine 1 and I want to put it on FD1. Then I want to create a virtual machine 2 or virtual machine 3. I want to put it on FD2, right? So you can go and you can create a logical grouping out here. Look at this. I'm showing a diagram. After that, I will show it practically as well in Azure. So I can create here two fault domains, FD1 and FD2. Now what happens with that, right? So with that, what happens now is that, now let us say if there is a power failure in infrastructure 1. So this fault domain will collapse, but not this. Assume now there is an internet connection issue in infrastructure 2. Then these two virtual machines will go off, not these, right? In other words, any kind of hardware failures, high availability, any kind of hardware failures, right? If it happens, right? Hardware failures or something has some physical failure, right, in the infrastructure or internet connection happens, then also your site can work or your task can keep performing. Why? Because you have put the virtual machines in different fault domain. Fault domain helps to achieve high availability for hardware failures. Now let us talk about update domain, right? So update domain, now what you can do is, I'll just change the color out here. So update domain. Now what you can do is that you can group, let's say, virtual machine 1 and virtual machine 3 in one grouping. So I can go ahead and I can create a group out here and I can name this logical grouping as update domain 1. I can create a virtual machine 2 and virtual machine 4 and I can create an update domain 2. Right? Now what does it mean? Right, this is for plant maintenance. Now let us say you want to install a patch. You want to install a patch in all the virtual machines, right? So your IT person or your infrastructure person, installs a patch and he says, restart all the virtual machines. So virtual machine 1, virtual machine 3, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 4, everything he is giving one command and saying that in the maintenance saying restart. But now what will happen is, because you have put them into different update domains, what will happen here is that it will actually go and do a rolling restart. A rolling restart means it will, even though he has sent message to restart for all the machines, first virtual machine 1 and virtual machine 3 will get restarted. That is, the UD1 will get restarted. Once the machines restart and they come back in their full blown position, then UD2 will get restarted for the patches, right? So in case of an update, when you put things in an update domain, right, during plant maintenance, it will do a rolling restart of one update domain and then of the other update domain, and with that again you get high availability. Why? Because all the machines are not going down in one, right, in one go. So remember, I'm just trying to iterate, and then we will go and see where these things we will get in Azure. Point number 1, both of these update domain and fault domains are logical grouping. Second point, they help us to achieve high availability. Third point, update domain helps with plant maintenance failures, while fault domain helps with hardware failures. Now let us go to Azure and let us see where to go ahead and specify update domain and fault domain. So now here's the Azure I have here. So now let us go here and I will say virtual machines, right? And I'm going to go and create a virtual machine out here, right? So now remember, I'm going to just go and show you the setting. I will not be showing the full demo, right? I will give you one homework and let us see that how many people will do that homework, right? So here I'm just trying to show where the setting is, because already we have done so much demos of virtual machine now, right? Scalability and scalability, elasticity, we have seen virtual machines and so on, right? We have seen a lot of demos in the first 2 hours, right? So I don't want to go and add one more demo. I want to start with platform as a service like app services and logic apps, as soon as possible. So over here now, where you will get the setting, right? So now what you will do is that you will say, okay, remember availability options, because we want high availability. So you can see there are a couple of options. Some of the options we have seen previously. Here you have to go and select availability set. Availability set means automatically distribute your VMs across multiple fault domains and update domains. So when you go and you create an availability set out here, you can see I'm created availability set. So and when I say create new, look at it. When I say create new, you can see now it is showing me a box here called as fault domains, and it is showing 2 fault domains. And it is showing me a box here, update domains, and showing me 5 update domains. I can minimize this to 2, right? So 2. So I can have 2 fault domains and 2 update domains, right? And I can give a name to this availability set here, saying that availability set for domains, right? AS for domains, whatever, give a good name, right? And try to give names like this, availability, I can say AS hyphen domains hyphen for UK project, so try to give names which are more readable, right? So now I am creating 2 fault domains here and 2 update domains. So what happens now when I create virtual machine 1, let us say this is the first virtual machine I am creating, right? And I will create and I will put that virtual machine. Then what it will do is randomly it will put it in fault domain 1 and update domain 1 first, right? Remember, randomly. You are not seeing a box here saying that this virtual machine has to go in fault domain 1 or update domain 2 or 1, right? So automatically he will go and allocate it, right? After that, what will happen is when you create another virtual machine and you select that I want to go and allocate this virtual machine on this availability set, then he will go ahead and he will put the second virtual machine in fault domain 2 and update domain 2. So that happens automatically. We can't give it via a screen, right? So it will automatically put those virtual machines in the, or I'll say equally, it will put the virtual machines in the update domain and the fault domains, right? And also you can see over here it is written group 2 or more VMs in logical grouping to ensure that at least one is available during planned maintenance and also hardware failures. He has not given hardware failures out here, but I'm sure that that is also against hardware failures, right? So that was a quick understanding of update domain and fault domain. Now let us start with the next chapter, which is on platform as a service, and we'll select the first platform as a service, which is app services. So now let us go ahead and create a web application. So this is the next chapter we are starting. So in this chapter, what we'll do is that we'll host a web application. We will host an ASP.NET MVC application. Now, in case you are new to ASP.NET MVC, I would request you to watch our course, right, where we have taught ASP.NET MVC with a project, right? So let us go ahead and create an ASP.NET MVC application and let us host it on Azure by using an app service. Now remember that this is on PAAS. Till now, we were looking at infrastructure as a service. We were looking at IaaS, right? So let us say if I want to host an ASP.NET MVC application, what should I do? If I'm not using PAAS, I have to create a virtual machine. I have to enable IIS. I have to install the SDK kits, whatever it is, right? Then I have to host my MVC application out there. I have to create a virtual directory and so many other things, right? I have to manage the server myself. That's what the whole thing about IaaS is, right? In case of a PAAS, which is one layer top, remember our first lecture we discussed, right? I'm flashing the chapter out here where we discussed about IaaS, right? So above that PAAS starts. So in PAAS, what happens is you don't have to get into all that. You will just say, I want to host Python, I want to host Java, I want to host PHP, I want to host ASP.NET. So as soon as you say ASP.NET MVC, he will say, okay, which version it is? So he'll say, okay, ASP.NET MVC .NET 8. Okay, .NET 8. He will take up a server where already .NET 8 is installed, where already IIS is installed. Already it could be a Windows or Linux, whatever you select, right? And he will host it. You don't have to get into that machine. Neither you have access of that machine. Let me very much stress out here. Neither you have access of that machine, because now that Azure is supposed to do, right? Not you. So you are only going to use it platform as a service. You will just host it. There is a abstract layer in between, and he will do everything for you, right? So app service is a PaaS platform to host web applications, right? So here it is, my portal Azure is out here. So I'm going to go and search here for app services. So there it is, app services. And I will first go and create an app service. So I'll say, okay, let us create an app service. Now you can see here, it is showing web app, static web app with a database, WordPress, and so on. I'll just say, I want to host a web app, right? If you say static web app, then it is with HTML. If you say web app with database, then it will be .NET with SQL Server or Java with Oracle and so on, right? But for now, let us make it simple, web app. So I'm going to go and say web app. Remember, you have to create a resource group. I will not be repeating this again and again. So I'll just say resource delete so that we can delete this later on. And then I will say here, so let's give some name here like my website, or let's say QuestPond website, right? So the URL would be, you can see now he has created a unique URL out here, right? But let us say if I don't want this URL, I can just say, no, I want to just use my default name, QuestPond website. Now remember, if you just take something like this, like default, and if it is already booked, you can see, then you can't book it. So default.azurewebsite.net is booked, right? But QuestPond is not booked, right? So I can just say questpond.azurewebsites.net. I don't want that weird name of the host name, right? The next thing is that, okay, what kind of stack you want to host, right? The next thing is that you want to host on in a container like something like Docker, or you want to host it directly inside the web server. So I'll say I want to host it directly inside the web server. And after that, it says, okay, what is it? Is it a Java application? Is it a Node application? It is a Python, PHP, or is it .NET, right? So at this moment, it is .NET, right? So what I'll do out here is I'll open my Visual Studio. So just in case, again, I'm repeating, if you're new to ASP.NET MVC, please see our MVC tutorial out there. So I'm going to say create a new project, and I will just create a simple MVC application. Now remember, this part would be different for a lot of people out there. For example, if you're a Python person, then you will use your own IDE to create a website. If you're a Java person, then you would use your own way of creating a website, right? So this part must be, because I'm showing a Microsoft thing out here, don't get demotivated, right? It is just that I know ASP.NET, so I'm hosting ASP.NET. So I'll just say this next out here, and for now, I just want to create a default application. I don't want to give anything out here. I'll say next. So it says .NET 8.0. So it will say .NET 8.0. So I'm going to go and create this, right? Let this application get created at the backend, and we'll go out here, and here, because it is .NET 8.0, I will select .NET 8. Remember, it was LTS, long-term support, right? Now, this small terminologies we are seeing here, like LTS and STS. So what I will do is that, in the future coming times, I will create some small short videos to explain these, right? But for now, my focus is on the practical to make our application live. So I don't want to divert into these small terminologies, but it's a promise that I will create some small short videos where I will explain this LTS and other things out there, right? Okay, so rest delete and all this is out here. I will host it in, for now I'll just host it in central India. And I have selected the operating system as Windows for now, right? Remember, .NET also runs on Linux. You can always select Linux. Also, if you're a PHP person and a Java person, most probably you will select Linux, right? But for now, I've selected Windows. Now you can see that he is now saying that, okay, now what is the plan you want to create? So you can see here, he is creating a plan for you, right? So I'll just give a name here saying my plan 1, 2, 3, right? So what is the plan? This plan is nothing but the pricing plan. So you can see here there are lots of pricing out here. One is the free one, so you can use 60 CPU minutes per day, right? Another one is shared, right? Another one is basic, another one is premium, and so on. You know, we will have again one lecture, right, on this different kind of plans, right? Like the F1 plan and the B1 plan and the S1 plan, right? The premium plan, we can have one separate lecture on it. Only thing, you know, you can see from the cost. I mean, like if it's a free plan, it's only 60 CPU, but as you go down the plan, for example, if you select this one, S1, you can see it is saying 1 CPU, right? If you give more money, you will have 2 CPU, right? If you select this one, which is 1.75 GB, and if you go down below, if you pay more money, you have 8 GB. So at the end of the day, it is just that the number of CPU and the size of the RAM. For now, I will go and I will select this plan S1. Why? Because I just want that this demo should run smooth and it should just run fast, right? So that we can complete the demo faster, right? So I'll say review and create, right? Now remember that even though I have selected a big size number out there, right? What he will charge me is per hour, right? So you can see that he is saying that this is per month, right? But per hour, he has not given me per hour, that is per month. Huh? Per hour, somewhere he should give me, it does not give me, right? Yeah, but the per hour would be less, like it must be 100 rupees or 50 rupees or something like that. It must be 20, 30 rupees, frankly, not even 100 rupees, right? So definitely make sure that you delete that resource afterwards. When you do the demo, or else you are going to get a hit on your credit card. So there it is, and I will go and I will hit create, right? So let us create it. And what I will also do out here is I'm going to go and create, I've already created a web application, right? So view solution explorer, this is my web application. Let us quickly run and see if everything is running, right? Everything is running good, right? So I'm just running this application and seeing that do I see my home page out here, right? So remember that in ASP.NET we will get some home page. So that is welcome web application 14, welcome, and so that is the page out there. Very nice. Okay, must be what I can do is very quickly I can just go to the index out here, and how about just saying here welcome, hello, my first web app, right? Because you can just make it simple, right? So I just simple one, right? If you want to remove this top thing out there, like if you want to keep it simple, you can go ahead and you can remove this. You can go and you can remove it from the view start, right? In the view start, you can remove this layout. Then this index will not have any kind of layout from the top, right? Okay, so good. Our web application is all out here, and let us see our application is created. The app service is created out here. I'll just say go to resource, right? And it has given me a URL out here. I can just click on this URL, and this is the home page of Azure. It is saying your web app is running and waiting for the content to get published, right? So now let us go ahead and publish on Azure by using Visual Studio, right? For now, I'm going to go and use Visual Studio, right? See, remember, if you go to the deployment out here, and this is the deployment out here, you can deploy by using Visual Studio. You can also deploy by using FTP and other things as well, right? So if somebody wants to go and deploy by FTP, more than welcome, okay? But for now, I want to use Visual Studio. It is quite easy. So what I'll do, I'll say build and publish. So publish this web application where? Publish it on Azure, and we will say next. Now, if you remember, he had given us a choice saying that do you want to use a container and or do you want to host it directly, you want to host the code, and we had selected the code, and it was a Windows operating system. So we have to go and select this one, right? So I'll just say next, right? Now, through Visual Studio, if you want to go and publish your application, right, then what you have to do is that you have to actually go and add your Azure account out here. So I'm going to go and add, so my Azure account at this moment is questpontinterviewquestion@gmail.com, right? So I'm going to go and take that. Why don't I find? So let me go and do it again. So for some reason, you can see this is QuestPond interview questions. This is the QuestPond interview questions. Why don't I find my Azure app service? Absolutely, because here I should find something. I'll just refresh it. Is it the second one? Okay. I think I have created, I have used my credit card twice, so this one I think is disabled. And this one, this account is where the things are, right? So you can see here I'm on this account, and remember our resource delete, and I want to go and publish it on QuestPond app service. Remember, this is the resource and this is the app service. Now you can see there is something here called as deployment slots. We will do a nice demo on deployment slots later on, right? So I'll say finish, and there it is. See, remember, you have to go and log in into your Visual Studio account. So one very important point is when you say build publish, very quickly, make sure that you log in, right? Build publish. Must be I can just create a new profile again, right? So remember, I'll just run it again so that you understand it. So I'll say I want to host on Azure. I want to host on Azure App Service Windows, right? Now this account I have added out here. If you don't have an account, then add an account, right? You will add an account out here and you will log in with your name, right? So I can say use a different account and you will log in with your Azure credentials, right? So fine. So I'll just select this one. I will select this one and we will finish, right? And there it is. I'll close it. So you can see our web deploy publish, right? It's a profile. So what he has done is in Visual Studio, he has created a profile. A profile is nothing but it tells that where to go and go make your application live, right? So that is a profile out here. You can see it's saying that the profile is .NET 8.0. We have to go and host it on Azure, right? It is a part of this resource group and so on, right? So I'll just go and hit publish. So there it is. I will go and I will hit publish. It is validating. Now what it does is before publishing, it goes and it starts compiling your application. You can see down below, it is compiling, it is publishing as well, right? Now if I go at this time and if I try to refresh this, right? Remember, it is getting published at the back. It is getting published at the back. And if I try to refresh this, you will find that for some time, this site, it's taking time, right? So you can see down below, I'm just moving my mouse, publish started. So you can see it is adding directory and all that. So you can see this, the site has gone under construction. Why I'm telling you to note this is that because I'm going to go and do a one great demo called as the slots. And in that, this is important because when we are publishing like this, we don't want to see this site under construction. We want it to be seamless, isn't it? But for now, it is showing the site under construction. But once the publish has been succeeded, you can see build succeeded, publish succeeded, everything is good out here. Let me go and refresh it, and it is still my service. Okay, you can see here it is installing the web. Something out there is in progress. Fine. The publish has succeeded, but it is installing some things out there. Fine. Let us see. There it is. Can you see now? So there it is, web application 4. Welcome. Hello, my first web app application. You can see it live out here, right? So remember, just very quickly, this is the QuestPond app service. If you want to go and look at where the link is, you will click on the overview and you will go over here to see your web application. When you're doing these demos, definitely you will get issues, right? So what I want is that whenever you get an issue, please go ahead and post that issue in the comments down below in the YouTube. I will try to reply it as far as possible. Also, I want the community to help the community, right? See, I'm creating this video. I want to teach Azure, right, on YouTube, right? But at the same time, sometimes I will not get time to reply back to the comments. I want that the community should see that comment and try to reply back, right? So that is one part. Now the next demo, again, let us do on app services. And this demo is a very interesting demo, and the demo which is very near to my heart, called as Azure App Service Slots, right? And for this demo, what I'll do is that I will switch off the camera. I will go to my laptop. I will not show my face, right? And let us do the demo exclusively on the computer itself. And before I move to the demo, right, make sure that you delete the resource, because if you don't delete the resource, like at this moment we will need this resource, right? But let us say that if you are taking a gap of a day or two, right, you don't want to get build up this money, right? So remember, at the resource level, right, at the resource level, this is the resource level, you will go and you will hit delete, and I will copy the resource name as delete. I will enter out here and I will just say delete, and you can see at the top my delete is running, right? Just make sure that the delete is clean, right? And in case if you're facing problem in delete, again, please try to contact us, because sometimes what happens is if some of your resources are locked, right, then this delete does not run, right? And then you have to go and look at what it has commented, what is the error. You have to unlock the resource, you have to release the lock, and then only the resource gets deleted. But over here, I think it should be pretty simple, because we just created a very simple ASP.NET application, right? So guys, you can see in this resource, right, he has created a plan, he has created an app service, he has created an application inside. We'll look into application inside later on, and some other things also he has put out here, and we expect him that this complete resource he should delete. Okay, and there it is deleted. You can see the resource is deleted. That is good. So that means now you will not get billed. I'll just check. There is no app services. Very nice. Even you can see there is an app service out here, but that is coming from the cache. So if I just click on this, it should show me a nasty message out here saying that resource not found, right? And also my app service will not work definitely, because everything is closed now, right? I didn't want to make this clip, right? But I thought that I don't want anybody's pocket to get hurt. So remember that you have to delete the resource. So the next demo on Azure App Service Slot. Deployment slots allow you to deploy multiple environments like staging, production, testing, QA, right, in the same app service plans. So what it means is that, so this is your app service plan. I mean, this is the VM, right? So on this, by using deployment slots, you can go and you can deploy multiple environments. For example, you can take the same application and you can deploy here saying that this is production, right? So one of them will be production. Another one will be probably UAT, right? Another one can be test, QA, right? Whatever, right? So you can go and this can be something, some branch version out here, right? Some branch bug fix has been done. So you can deploy, these kind of slots, right? And each one of these slots will have different environments, different code, right? They have connection to different database, right? And so this is now in production, it is running, right? So what you can do now is that you can switch, right? So you can seamlessly switch. Let's say you go and you test this UAT slot and you say, oh, like this is done good, right? So you can now go ahead and switch this UAT to production, right? So what will happen is if you do a switch, automatically this will become production and this will become UAT, right? And by this kind of swiping the slot, right, you will minimize your downtime. I repeat this, you will minimize your downtime. So basically deployment slots allow you to deploy multiple environments in the same app service. You don't get charged for it extra, right? And once one of the slot has been tested, you can just go and say swap. I'll show you the button where it is in the demo. You can just say swap and this becomes production and then this becomes UAT. So before we move to the demo of slots, right, we have done the theory. I want to announce a beautiful gift out there. If you go and if you share this complete series, what I've done is at this moment, I have actually created a playlist right down below. Go ahead and share this playlist, somewhere on your LinkedIn, only on your LinkedIn, right? And send us a message on questpoint@questpoint.com, and I will give you a video on Azure networking. So in that video, what I've done is that I have created two virtual machines, and I have created a subnet. And when I've created a subnet, I'm actually pinging from one machine to another machine, right? And while I'm doing this demo, I'm talking about the concept of subnet mask. I'm talking about the concept of IP address. I'm talking about the concept of NSG, which is like a firewall in between two resources in Azure, right? So this video will make your Azure networking crisp, clear, right? So go ahead, share this video. And now let us go ahead to the next chapter where I'm demoing the slots of Azure. So you can see that this is our app service which is running, and at this moment on this app service, if you go and if you see, we are running this welcome my first web app, right? So what happens now is that if I now try to go ahead, let us talk about the first problem. If I now go ahead and try to deploy some changes out here, I'll say welcome new hello. Let us say I say welcome new hello. And when I go and try to deploy, this is what happens. So if I say publish, right, the application actually, it has a little bit of downtime, right? So if you see here, I'm saying that, okay, checking if the run is successful, and you can see the deployment has started, right? But you will see that as soon as the deployment starts, you will see that there is a downtime out here. The transition is not so seamless. You can see it is the publish started, right? So at some moment of time, you will see that there is something like page not found, or the site is not reachable, something you will get. Or you can see now this thing is moving out here, this one is getting published completed, but okay, you can see that service is unavailable, right? So it is not giving a good feeling from the end user's perspective. There is certain kind of a downtime out here, and which we want to avoid, right? So what you can do now is you can go ahead and you can create a slot. So what you would like to do is you would like to say that, okay, whatever are the new changes, I would like to upload it into a slot, right? I would like to test it and then do a swap, right? So for that you have deployment slots here. So what you can do is we will go and you will say here deployment slots. So there is deployment slots, and let us go and add a slot here. So I'll just go and add a slot here. Let us say UAT. Now remember, the slot creation takes a little bit of time out here. So I'll say here UAT QuestPoint, right? So this is the UAT QuestPoint slot. Do you want to clone? Yeah, everything has to be smaller case, right? So I'll just make it smaller case. I want you to write down. I want you to write down or send us a mail that why are capital not allowed here. You can see here it says that value must consist of only lower cases. So let us see how many people can answer that, right? So but for now I'll just continue, yes, and I'll say add. Now remember that this creation of the slot takes a little bit of time here. You can see the slot creation has started out here, right? But it takes a little bit of time, so let us wait. So there you can see the new slot has been created. So you can see here actually we have two slots which are running at this moment. One is the production slot, wherein we have our application running, and the other one is a UAT slot. At this moment there is zero traffic and nothing has been uploaded out here. And the most important part is that this one here is they are both of them are running on the same app service plan. That means they are referring the same VM. We are not getting extra cost, right? But please note that it does not mean that you will go and you will start putting a lot of deployment slots out here, because if you do that, then you would be overloading the same VM, and that will actually go and overload the production, right? So if you see at this moment, this is in production. This is what is running in production, right? And this one is in UAT. So if I open this and if I go out here, this one would not be having the ASP.NET changes, right? This will be having the default page of the Azure web app, right? So if I go and if I see out here, and if you see, it should actually show me the default page of the Azure, right? So look at this. This is production. This one is production, right? And this one here is UAT. So this one, Questpond, whatever, this is the production, and Questpond UAT out here URL is the UAT, right? So now what I can do is, let us go ahead and do some changes out here. So let us say, I'll say now, okay, welcome to the new UAT hello, right? And what I'll do now is, I will now make sure that I publish on this slot. So I publish on the UAT slot, right? So I'm going to go and say build publish. Now let us go ahead and let me create a new profile, because by default he must have selected the production slot, right? So I'm going to say new profile out here, and I'll just say yes, I want to do Azure hosting, Azure app services on Windows, right? And this profile will actually go and publish on the UAT. So if you go now out here in the res delete, previously we were having only one deployment slot, but you can see now, previously we were not having any deployment slot, but now we can see that we have an UAT slot. So I'll say yes, I want to publish this in the UAT out here, right? So this one here, we can go and we can give a nice name out here, because at this moment, so must be I can, what I can do is I can give, right, it is showing here UAT Questpond, so not needed. But if you want, you can go and you can change this name out here, saying that this is UAT, right? So if I now go and publish, right, so this changes out here. What you see, welcome new UAT hello will actually get published over here, right? So there it is publishing. So if I just go and say refresh, right? So when this is happening, my main website, this website does not get affected. Look at this. This website is happily running. There are no problems, right? But yes, this UAT site will get affected. You can see it goes under construction. This is the UAT, but this does not get affected, right? So then when the things go live, you can see now this is live. So this is now welcome new UAT hello, and this is welcome new hello, which is in production. Now what you would like to do is that you would like to go and swap this out here, and you would like to take this website and swap it to the UAT slot, right? So very easy now, what you can do now. So what you want to do is, the changes are now over here. You want to go and swap it into the production, and the production changes you want to swap it out here, right? For that, nothing, you have to go and hit the swap button. Again, please note that this takes a little bit of time, right? Right, so I'm going to go and say swap, right? And I'll say that swap. So what is the source? So this is the source UAT, and my target is that we have to swap it to production, right? I'll say start a swap, and you can see at the right hand side it is saying swapping slots, and this is what also takes a little bit of time. And once the swapping happens, what should happen is this, which is the UAT, should become the production, right? The production code, and the production code should become the UAT, right? So let us see. So this one here, I'll just refresh. You can see this is showing welcome new hello, right? Still showing welcome new hello because the swapping is taking place, and the UAT is still showing UAT. Oh, there it is. It has got swapped. Look at it. This is now showing welcome new hello, and this one should show welcome new UAT. Why it did not happen? Let me see. You can see the swapping is still taking place. The swapping is still taking place, right? It's happening still out there at the top. Look at the right hand side. The swapping is still taking place, right? So once the swapping finishes, this will change to welcome new hello, and this one UAT has already changed actually, right? So again, swapping successful, fine. So over here now, this is one, there it is. You can see this is new UAT hello, right? So the goal of slots is, it allows you to deploy multiple environments, right? Like staging, production, test in the same app service plan, and then what you can do is that if once one of the slot is tested out here like this one, you can then go and swap. Look at that button out here, swap this slot from the UAT to production with a minimal downtime or with absolutely zero downtime. So that brings us to the end of this lesson, and now Let us go and test ourselves. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go and shoot 10 questions out here. I want you guys to attempt that honestly yourself. See, I'm not there to test physically, that you have understood the lessons or not. But if you have watched this complete 2 lessons out here, then these questions you should be able to answer. And whenever you are writing the answer, please put down in the comments, right? I will read all the comments. I try to read all the comments, right? Why I'm saying to write down in the comments, because then I will see in the comments and as a teacher, I will feel, oh, like this guy has understood it, right? And I will come to know that, yes, my lessons are worth, right? So please go ahead, pause the question, think about it. You can use ChatGPT if you want, but already I have covered in my video, right? You don't have to use ChatGPT, and the questions are very simple. It is like petty questions, right? It is just to check that you have watched all my lessons or not, right? So I'm going to go and flash 10 questions and let us see that how many people answer in the comments below. So let us start. Question number 1, match the pairs. At the left hand side, we have update domain and fault domain. And at the right hand side, we have the problems, the address. So match the pairs. I mean, like, if you think that both of them address all the problems, or if you think one of them address one problems, right? What do you think? Update domain and fault domain, how do they get allocated? I mean, like, for example, if you create a virtual machine, do you have a kind of a checkbox which tells that, okay, now this machine will go in this update domain, or this machine will go in this fault domain, or does it happen automatically? What do you think? Question number 3, if you create an app service, right? The app service works or runs on a machine at the end of the day. Can we go and do an RDP on the app service machine? In other words, if let us say you host a website on an app service, right? And that app service is running on a machine, can we access that app service machine? Can we go and do a remote desktop and state the reason? I want here the reason that if you can access the machine, why do they allow you to access the machine? And if you cannot access the machine, what is the reason you can't access the machine? Question number 4, you have an app service plan, right? But on that app service, there is no app associated or there is no app hosted. What do you think? Will you still incur charges or will you not incur charges? So if you're incurring charges, then why, right? And if you're not incurring charges, why? Whenever you're giving the answer, please put down the reason. You have created an app service and it has a slot. So you have created a slot which is mainly meant for testing, right? For UAT. And you want to do load testing on that slot. Is it a good idea to do load testing on the slot where you have hosted UAT? Specify the reason. If yes, why is it good? If no, why is it not good? Which of the app service plans, which I'm showing on the screen, have ready instances running? Ready instances running means what? Means the app service plan is up and running. The app service is up and running. In some of the plans, the app service is not ready and running. So what happens is there is a cold start, right? So from in the plans which I have now flashed on the screen, which of the app service plans have ready instances running? You have created an app service on a slot, right? So you have an app service which is in production and you have created a slot which is for UAT. Question is that inside it, are these app services running on different VMs or they are running on same VMs? Will you be charged for 2 VMs or will you be charged for a single VM? Question number 8, when I create an app service or when I host a web application, why do I have to create an IIS virtual directory? Do I have to go and create a virtual directory? Do I have to install .NET, right? So if yes, then write down the reason why we have to do it, right? And if no, then tell why no. What I want to hear in this answer is something around EAS, PAAS and CIAS. Question number 9. I know that I have not covered this chapter, but I thought that I should still ask a question. Must be you can do some homework around it. When we go ahead and host .NET, you saw that there are some options like LTS and STS. What are these options, right? So what exactly do they do? And when you are a developer, when you see an LTS or when you see an STS, what goes in your mind? The last question. So I create an app service and I want to do FTP. Is it possible? and where is that option of FTP actually. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the lesson, right? I hope that you have enjoyed this complete lab 2 out here, which I have flashed, right? The complete lesson 2, right? So we had lesson 1 where I covered the Azure basics. This is lesson 2 where I focused on app services and PAAS, right? Now we on lesson 3, we will focus on storages. When you talk about Azure, there are 4 or 5 kind of primary storages: blobs, queues, files, right? Tables, right? So we'll look into that, and also we will look into SQL Azure. So thank you very much. I hope that you are liking these lessons. And again, I would like to flash lesson 3. I would like to make lesson 3 live if I get 2000 likes. Happy learning, happy job hunting.